Hello everyone and welcome to Obscure Anime ranks every single heretic in Nikke from worst to best, which as you can probably guess by the length of this video alone are not too many in number, especially since I'll not be considering redeemed heretics such as Modernia or Cinderella as heretics, mainly due to two reasons. One, because if they have already been redeemed by the story, then in my mind, I already consider them just as Nikkeis and not as heretics anymore. And two, because I'll be real, if I did, they would probably automatically get the bottom spots of the list. Like it wouldn't even be fun. They would automatically be placed at the bottom. Why? Because Cinderella and Modernia are bad characters? No, far from it. They're some of my favorites actually. It's just that they're my favorites as Nikkeis, because in their time as heretics, they're barely even developed at all. Like, Cinderella barely gets any lines to speak in her Anakiro form, so you don't even get a sense of her character as a heretic. You only really begin to understand her character when she's redeemed. And almost the same thing with Modernia. She does have a bit more lines as a heretic than Cinderella does, but all those lines do is just essentially accomplish the same thing as Cinderella's mute actions, i.e., just portraying that, oh, I'm a evil villain that's here to kill you and be feared, etc. They really don't get like any development as heretics. They're not even fun villains. They're just the most basic of the basic in their time on the other side. Especially because, again, in the mind of the writers, they were already thinking about how to redeem these characters, so obviously they didn't develop them as much as villains, since that would mess up their attempts to do so later. Anyway, you get my point. They're not going into this list because of these reasons. Still, I think that's enough introductions for now, so let's just get to number worst. Number worst, Liberalio. And while I do like her design quite a lot more than some of even the higher positions on this list, the truth is that, at least for now, she barely has any presence in the story. Like, her introduction is very cool. She appears as this uber powerful, almost like eldritch horror type of entity that your allies just say, oh no, if she wanted to, we'd already be dead. Which is really scary because when you first confront her, you're accompanied by some of, in lore, the most powerful pilgrims in the surface. And they still say, oh no, if this thing wanted you, we'd all be dead already. So that's one hell of an introduction. That's a really good scene, but that's it. She literally only has that scene and nothing else. So yeah, really cool introduction and really cool design, but I'm going to need a bit more than that in a waifu, you know? So that's why she gets the bottom spot. Number two, Indevilia. And I quite like Indevilia has a villain in the story. Again, her design is great, and pretty much every scene she's featured in, which thankfully are a lot more than Liberalius, is very impactful. She really is a character that has not only various appearances, but each of her appearance has a lot of presence both in the story and in your head. She's really a character I feel you're going to remember after the chapters involving her. So why is she at the bottom if I have nothing but compliments for her? Well, that's because as you guys know, I quite like Chime, and this bitch literally decapitated her. Like, a lot of people, I saw a lot of people being like, "Oh no, but is Indevilia going to come back? Please don't tell me that she is gone for good. I really liked her." While in her death scene, I was like, yes, yes, get your revenge, Shime. You deserve it. Kill this evil bitch. So yeah, she's a really good, again, like I was describing before, type of villain I want to defeat, but that doesn't really speak well of her score as a waifu, you know? At least not to me. So that's why she gets one of the bottom spots. Number three, Nihilister. And I don't know if that was intended by the developers, but even when she's winning, Nihilista just looks super pathetic. Like, it's almost kind of adorable. You know, those girls in anime that just try to be all villainous and intimidating, but all they look is like super goofy? Like Aru from Blue Archive, for example. Those girls that try to look super cool, but they're just but they're just complete girl failures. That's what Nihilister looks like to me. And the writers will, like, in a bunch of her scenes, try to build her up as this intimidating antagonist, but she just fails so hard and so constantly, and she's always just being defeated or being shown in a position of weakness, like almost seconds after she appears every time, that I just can't help but see her as the Aru of this game, you know? So yeah, that does contribute a bit to raising her in the list. Like that adorableness contributes to her score as a waifu, but I'm not particularly fond of her design, and just due to the fact that this aspect of her is probably more my reading on the character and not what the writers intended, like ruins it a bit for me, you know? So I'm taking a few points down. She is definitely an entire order of magnitude beyond the other waifus on this list, but it's still not enough to get the top spots, which at this point I think you can probably already guess. Number four, Behemoth. And yeah, obviously the four beasts, more like two beasts, since only two of them have been introduced by now, but you get the point. The four beasts obviously get the top spots on this list. Like, at this point, you all probably know how I feel about villains. And like villains that like being evil, like honest villains. And both of them do get a few points docked out of that appeal, just due to that thing I was talking about in the appeal of Evil Woman video, where the story kind of tries to make them redeemable and relatable and say, oh no, they're actually just a victim of circumstance, which I honestly really hate. But those few points docked are more than made up for with their intimidation factor. Like, they try to make Liberalio intimidating, but she's just intimidating due to what's said about her, you know? While you directly see, and these characters directly prove their intimidation factor to you through their actions. Like, Behemoth takes like a ton of effort for even the upgraded forms of some of the most powerful Nikkes in lore to defeat. Like, it doesn't just take an upgrade. It's in terms of power scaling. Like, if I had to make this easy to understand, Behemoth is like seeing a powerful villain show up in Dragon Ball, right? And then Goku turns into a Super Saiyan, and then you're like, oh, now Goku has finally achieved a new Super Saiyan form. Now he's going to defeat the villain, and then he doesn't. He achieves Super Saiyan, and then he needs to go through an entire training arc in order to beat this villain only by the skin of his teeth. That's how Behemoth feels. She's absolutely a powerful presence that definitely feels like the most intimidating out of all the villains we've fought up until this point. And well, both of them do. So, you know what? Let's just get no fanfare. Leviathan. Leviathan is the best heretic in Nikke. Why? Because, well, purely because of design. Like, Behemoth and Leviathan would be pretty much in the same position if she wasn't a lolly in a bikini. I'll be real. I like both of these characters about the same. They're both incredibly intimidating villains with great designs and personalities that are just to my taste. And they have this powerful and intimidating position on screen that is reinforced by their actions. And they're both super well written and really fun to read in the story. They're both just great, okay? So why does Leviathan take the cake as the best waifu? Literally just her design. It's literally just preference. Again, in objective terms, both of the two, well, four beasts are in the same level for me, again, in objective factors. They're both super intimidating, super fun to read with great designs, but one is a thick girl in a bodysuit and the other is a lolly in a bikini. So we all know who was going to win this, given that it's a list made by me, you know? Like, if you know anything about me, this should have been a pretty predictable conclusion. But I really hope that despite being so predictable, this video was still fun to watch and that I still gave pretty good reasons as to the placements of all these characters. So, for now, I think this is a good place to end the video. If you liked it, please do all the normal YouTube stuff, you know, like, comment, subscribe. And another thing I'd like to ask you all, specifically for this video, is for you to say if you want more Nikke lists like this one and the lolly one I did, and if so, which kind of lists should I make? Should I make every maid in Nikke, or every bunny girl in Nikke, or every bikini alt, or every Nikke in Elysian or Tetra or etc. ranked from worst to best? Or are you guys already tired of this? If you're not, please say that and say which lists you would like to see in the future, because I really like making these, and if you guys are excited for it, I would be really happy to make more. Aside from that, the channel is finally monetized, so if you feel like what I do here is something you would like to support, I'd really appreciate it as well if you donated at any level. But with that said, I, as always, bid you guys farewell. Obscure Anime out.